Suppose you encounter a clause from a third-party contract that you cannot accept outright and that requires a redraft. How do you decide exactly which changes you're going to make? Most lawyers will just turn on track changes and start making adjustments from a general sense of what is in the best interest of their client. But a lot of legal teams also have their own standard versions of the clause that they're considering changing and will want to compare it with that. Let's look at how ClauseBuddy facilitates that work. So I have this clause right here that allows for termination for convenience. Suppose I would want to change this based on our own standard version of that clause. What I can do is select it, ask ClauseBuddy to auto-suggest some material from my own library. You can see here, for example, that we do have our own company standard version of that clause. Now, I can run a compare of these two clauses, but usually these clauses are written with a completely different structure in a completely different way, even if they talk about the same sorts of topics, so that this is just a big mess. I can't really see, how these two clauses differ just from this track changes style overview. And if I were to insert these track changes into the document, you can also see that, again, it's just a really big mess. This is, even from a negotiation etiquette point of view, quite rude, because you're essentially just throwing out the clause from the third party and replacing it entirely with your own. So what I could instead also do is just take this clause and do a smart merge with the clause that I have in my own library. And what that does is it creates an AI-powered breakdown of all the individual commercial and legal elements that are contained in both the clause in the Word document and the clause in our library. And ultimately, we then just have this sort of list of ingredients that we can choose to apply or not apply to the document. And you can also see that if we were to indicate an ingredient that is conflicting with another ingredient that's already in place here, then the AI does notify us of that. But honestly, it's just a matter of then selecting the right elements. We can see exactly where those elements come from, and then just create a merged version here. And if we then insert that into the document, we can then indeed run a compare, and that's a little bit cleaner already. That's a little bit more of a harmonization of the two clauses.